Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! About a year ago, I got a text message that wasn't meant for me. At first, I didn't think much of it. Wrong numbers happen, right? But little did I know this was just the beginning of a frustrating saga that would test my patience and ultimately lead me to take matters into my own hands. The first text I received was from some political campaign. It said, "Hi Donna, this is the headquarters of John Smith. I am running for county commissioner. Can we count on your vote?" I replied, explaining they had the wrong number. They apologized and promised to remove my number from their list. I thought that was the end of it, but boy was I wrong. Over the next few weeks, I kept getting more texts and calls meant for this Donna person. Real estate agents, political campaigns, and even debt collectors started reaching out to me, all looking for her. Each time I'd explain they had the wrong number, but it didn't seem to make a difference. The messages and calls just kept coming. One day I got a text from a realtor. "Hi Donna, I'm with XYZ Realtors. I was wondering if you were looking to sell your property at 123 Main Street." I replied, once again explaining they had the wrong number. But at this point I was getting really frustrated. Why was this Donna person giving out my number to everyone? The debt collector calls were the worst. They call at all hours, demanding to speak to Donna about her unpaid debts. No matter how many times I told them they had a wrong number, they just wouldn't stop. "Hello, this is ABC Collections. We're trying to reach Donna regarding an outstanding debt. Is she available? I'm sorry, but you have the wrong number. There is no Donna here." "Are you sure? This is a number we have on file for her." "Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. I've been getting calls for Donna for a month now, but this isn't her number." "Alright, we'll make a note of it. Sorry for the inconvenience." But despite their apologies, the calls kept coming. It was like being stuck in an endless loop of wrong numbers and misunderstandings. I started to notice that most of these calls and texts were coming from area codes on the opposite side of the country from where I live. That got me thinking, maybe I could use this information to track down the real Donna and put an end to this madness. With just the first name, a partial address, and the area code, I decided to do some online sleuthing. I found a website that let me do a reverse address lookup. When I typed in the beginning of the address I had, it gave me a list of possible combinations for house numbers and street names. After a bit of searching, I found an address in a town that matched the area code where all these texts and calls were coming from. I clicked on it, and boom, there it was. Donna's full name, complete address, and cell phone number. I couldn't believe my luck. Now that I had her information, I decided to reach out to her directly. I sent her a text. "Hello Donna. You don't know me, but you apparently know my number. Please stop giving it out to solicitors, collection companies, and campaigners. Thanks to online research, I have your name, address, and phone number. So I will say this again. Stop giving out my number." I thought that would be the end of it. Surely she'd realize her mistake and stop giving out my number, right? Wrong. The texts and calls kept coming. It was like she didn't even care that she was causing problems for a complete stranger. And that's when I decided to take more drastic action. Every time I got a text meant for Donna, I forwarded it to her real number. I also sent her another message. "Whenever I get a solicitation in your name, I'm going to forward them to you." On top of that, I started replying to the solicitors with Donna's correct cell number. I figured if she wasn't going to stop giving out my number, I might as well make sure these people could actually reach her. For the debt collectors, I got a bit more creative. I have this app on my phone that converts texts to speech, so I don't have to talk directly to robocallers. I created a preloaded response about Donna. Whenever I got a call looking for her, I'd use this automated message. "You had the wrong number. This person, Donna X, has been giving out my phone number to deflect collectors from contacting her. I don't know her or even live in her state, but I managed to get some information about her thanks to some online research. Her correct number is XXX XXX XXXX. It took a while, but eventually the calls and texts started to slow down. The debt collectors stopped calling altogether, and the solicitation texts became less and less frequent. One day, after weeks of silence, I received an unexpected text. Hey, is this a person who's been redirecting my calls? Yes, it is. Are you Donna? Yeah, it's me. Look, I'm sorry about all this. I did not realize I was causing so much trouble. It's been going on for almost a year, Donna. Why did you keep giving out my number? I was trying to avoid the collectors. I thought if I gave them a fake number, they'd leave me alone. I didn't think about how it would affect whoever had that number. Well, it affected me a lot. I've been dealing with constant calls and texts meant for you. I know, and I'm really sorry. I've been working on paying off my debts, and I promise I won't give out your number anymore. I appreciate the apology, but why didn't you stop when I first contacted you? Honestly, I was embarrassed and scared. I thought if I ignored it, it would all go away. But you were pretty persistent. I had to be. It was driving me crazy. I get it now. I've been getting all those forwarded messages and calls. It's been a wake-up call, literally. So what are you going to do now? No more hiding or giving out fake numbers, and I'll contact everyone who has your number and give them my correct information. That will be great. I'm glad we finally got this sorted out. Me too. After that conversation, the calls and texts finally gradually stopped for good. It was a relief to have my phone back to normal, only ringing when it was actually for me. Looking back, I'm still amazed at how a simple wrong number turned into such a complicated situation. But I'm glad I took action. Sometimes you have to get creative to solve a problem, even if it means becoming an amateur detective and redirecting a stranger's calls. And who knows, maybe Donna and I will even keep in touch. After all, we've been through quite an adventure together, even if we've never actually met. Hi there. When I boarded a plane for what was supposed to be a routine business trip, little did I know I was about to witness utter madness. As we settled into our seats, the usual pre-flight announcement droned on. I was in the aisle seat, my laptop open, trying to get some last-minute work done before takeoff. And that's when I first noticed her. A middle-aged woman with a bob haircut and sunglasses perched on her head. She was loudly complaining about the lack of leg room to her seatmate, who looked like he wanted to disappear into his chair. We took off without incident, and for the first hour or so, things were relatively calm. I managed to get some work done and even dozed off for a bit. But then, as if on cue, all hell broke loose. It started with a drink service. The flight attendant, a petite woman with a warm smile, was making her way down the aisle with a beverage cart. What would you like to drink, ma'am? The woman with a bob haircut, let's call her Karen, looked up from her magazine with a scowl. I'll have a gin and tonic. Make it double. I'm sorry, ma'am, but we don't serve double drinks on this flight. I can give you a single gin and tonic if you'd like. What? That's ridiculous. I always get a double. Do you know who I am? I apologize, ma'am, but it's our policy. Would you like a single gin and tonic? Fine, whatever. Just bring me something strong. I could see the flight attendant's smile falter for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure and continued down the aisle. I thought that would be the end of it, but man, we're not even close. About an hour later, the meal service began. The flight attendant returned, this time pushing a cart laden with food trays. Would you like the chicken or beef, ma'am? Beef, of course. I can't stand airline chicken. The flight attendant's face fell when she looked back into her trays, and I knew we were in for trouble. Sorry, ma'am, but we've just run out of the beef option. We only have chicken left. Would that be okay? What do you mean you're out of beef? That's unacceptable. I specifically asked for beef. I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. We tried to stock enough of both options, but sometimes we run short. Is there anything else I can offer you? Perhaps I could bring you some extra sides or a complimentary snack? This is outrageous. I pay good money for this flight, and I expect to get what I want. At this point, other passengers were starting to take notice. The man next to me shifted uncomfortably in his seat, and I could hear whispers of disbelief from the rows behind us. I understand your frustration, ma'am. If you'd like, I can speak to the pursuer about offering you some compensation for the inconvenience. Perhaps a voucher for a future flight. A voucher? Are you kidding me? I don't want your stupid voucher. I want my damn beef. Her voice was getting louder with each word, and I could see the flight attendant struggling to maintain her professional demeanor. Ma'am, please lower your voice. We have other passengers to consider. I'm doing my best to accommodate you, but we simply don't have any more beef meals available. This is discrimination. You're targeting me because you don't like the way I look, aren't you? Ma'am, that's not the case at all. We've run out of beef for everyone. It has nothing to do with you personally. Don't lie to me. I bet if I went to first class right now, they'd have plenty of beef. At this point, the flight attendant's patience was clearly wearing thin. Her smile had disappeared, entirely replaced by a stern expression. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down. Your behavior is disrupting other passengers. If you can't control yourself, I'll have to inform the captain. Oh, now you're threatening me? Go ahead. Call your precious captain. I'll have all of your jobs for this. The flight attendant took a deep breath and turned to walk away, probably to get help from her colleagues. But Karen wasn't done yet. Don't you dare walk away from me, you incompetent witch! What happened next was so shocking, I'm still not sure I believe it actually occurred. Karen suddenly leaped from her seat, lunging at the flight attendant with outstretched arms. She tackled the poor woman to the ground, sending them both crashing into the aisle. I hear one passenger say, "Oh my God, what's happening? Someone stop her." Karen had pinned the flight attendant to the floor and was now slapping her face repeatedly, all while screaming incoherently about beef and customer service. It was like watching a wild animal attack its prey. For a moment, everyone was too stunned to react. Then, as if snapping out of a trance, several passengers, including myself, jumped into action. I grabbed Karen's arm, trying to pull her out of the flight attendant. A burly man from a few rows back wrapped his arms around her waist, attempting to lift her away. "Stop it! You're assaulting her! Let go! Get your hands off me! Don't you know who I am? I'll sue all of you!" It took 3 of us to finally pry her out of the poor flight attendant, who was curled up on the floor, her uniform disheveled and her face red from the assault. As we restrained Karen, other crew members rushed to the scene. The lead flight attendant says, "What in the world is going on here?" One passenger says, "This woman attacked your colleague over a meal option." "Ma'am, you need to calm down immediately. This is a serious offense, and we will be contacting the authorities." "You can't do this to me. I'm a platinum member. I'll have your entire airline shut down." As the lead flight attendant radioed the cockpit to inform the pilots of the situation, we continued to hold Karen in place. She thrashed and screamed, hurling insults at everyone around her. "You're all jealous of me. This is a conspiracy. I demand to speak to the CEO of this airline right now." "Lady, you're on a plane. The CEO isn't here. Just sit down and shut up before you make things worse for yourself," one passenger told her. For the next hour, we had to endure Karen's non-stop tirade. She alternated between threats, insults, and bizarre claims about her supposed importance. The flight attendant she had attacked was taken to the back of the plane to recover and receive first aid. Finally, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, due to the recent disturbance, we will be making an emergency landing at the nearest airport. Please remain in your seats with your seat belts fastened. Law enforcement will be meeting us upon arrival." A collective groan went up from the passengers, but everyone understood the necessity. As we began our descent, Karen seemed to realize the gravity of her situation. Her rage turned to panic. "Wait, no! You can't do this! I have an important meeting to get to! This is all a misunderstanding." The lead flight attendant tells her, "Ma'am, you physically assaulted a member of our crew. This is far beyond a misunderstanding." As we touched down at the unfamiliar airport, I could see police cars and an ambulance waiting on the tarmac. The moment the doors opened, officers boarded the plane and made their way to our section. One police officer says, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for assault and interfering with a flight crew. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." "This is a mistake. Don't you know who I am? I'll have your badge for this." As the police escorted her out of the plane in handcuffs, the rest of us sat in stunned silence. The lead flight attendant addressed us once she was gone. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely apologize for this unfortunate incident. We'll be providing you all with food vouchers for the airport, and our ground staff will assist you with rebooking your connecting flight. Thank you for your patience and understanding. In the airport, as we waited for information about our rescheduled flights, passengers gathered in small groups, rehashing the events we had just witnessed. I overheard snippets of conversations. One passenger tells the other, "Can you believe that woman? All this over some beef?" He responds, "I've seen people get upset on flights before, but never like that." It's like she completely lost touch with reality. A third passenger says, "I feel so bad for that flight attendant. I hope she's okay." As for me, I found myself sitting next to the man who had been in the window seat next to Karen. He looked shell-shocked. "Are you alright?" I asked him. "Yeah, I guess. I just can't believe I was sitting next to her the whole time. She seemed normal at first, you know? A bit demanding, sure, but not bad. It's crazy how some people can just snap like that. Tell me about it." I'm just glad no one was seriously hurt. Eventually, we were all rebooked on new flights. As I boarded my rescheduled plane, I caught sight of the flight attendant who had been attacked. She was standing near the gate, talking to some airline officials. Despite everything she'd been through, she managed a small smile as passengers walked by, some stopping to offer words of support. I approached her before boarding. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened to you. Are you okay?" "I'm a bit shaken up, but I'll be alright. Thank you for your concern." Of course, no one should have to deal with that kind of behavior, especially when you're just trying to do your job. "I appreciate that. Safe travels." The flight took off without incident, and I found myself hoping that Karen would face serious charges for this, because at the end of the day, no amount of entitlement or self-importance can justify treating another human being that way. I never thought a simple trip to the movies would turn into such a drama. Our local theater had this amazing summer program where they showed classic Disney films every week. It was a chance to see these beloved movies on the big screen just like when they first came out. Last weekend they were showing Peter Pan, and I wasn't feeling well, so I booked 2 seats for my husband and our son. The seats were right next to the wheelchair accessible spots, which were just empty spaces without chairs. When my husband arrived with our boy, he found the man and his kid sitting in our reserved seats. The man had other children with him too, all seated on the other side of the wheelchair spots. My husband approached them politely. "Excuse me, but I think you're in our seats." "No, we're not." "Yes, you are. Look, here are our ticket stubs." "Well, I didn't know these were for disabled people." "That's not the issue. These are our reserved seats. Can't you sit somewhere else?" "No, I paid for these specific spots." The man was getting visibly annoyed, so my husband called over an employee to help sort things out. "Sir, I'm afraid these are indeed the reserved seats." "But there aren't any chairs here." "I'm sorry, but that's not our concern. You'll need to move." Grudgingly, the man made his kid sit with one of his other children, while he stood for the entire movie. My husband said the guy kept glaring at him throughout the film. Despite the unpleasant encounter, my husband came home beaming. He couldn't stop talking about how amazing it was to see Peter Pan on this big screen and how much our son enjoyed it. It was a special moment for them both, and I'm glad that one entitled person couldn't ruin their experience. I still can't believe someone would try to argue their way into keeping seats that weren't theirs, especially at a sold-out show. It's a reminder that some people will always try to take advantage, but standing your ground politely can